Robyn Scott. I work under the vacation division marketing agencies, which includes Bluetent, Q4 Launch, and BizCore. I'm really a vacation rental growth strategist. So what I've been doing in the space for close to 20 years is looking for revenue opportunities, developing direct booking strategies, and helping our customers build and design websites and kind of figure out how to leverage different marketing channels to grow. John?
Yeah, thanks, Robyn. And my name's John Slaughter, SVP of Growth and Strategy over here at RentalGuardian, and having the pleasure to work alongside Robyn and her incredible team. RentalGuardian specializes in protection programs. I've been with RentalGuardian for almost 10 years now and am a licensed travel insurance as well as a property and casualty agent in all 50 states, and have had the pleasure of speaking to property managers here in the US and abroad to be able to help them leverage the programs that we offer, as well as, make sure that they're protected for not only their bookings, their revenue, their homeowners, et cetera. So super excited to be here and join my pal Robyn here. Lots of great content to share. So I guess without further ado, let's dive in. First, a lot of people ask, who the heck is RentalGuardian? A lot of folks think we're an insurance company, and we're not. While we have our insurance company, InsureStays, which is our sister company, RentalGuardian is basically an insurance distribution and claims management platform. It's basically a way for you as a property manager to leverage our technology and be able to offer travel insurance, all sorts of damage protection programs, and file claims in all one easy-to-use dashboard that's integrated within your software. So it allows for you to be able to see everything in one place and offer programs like cancel for any reason and standard travel insurance, keep track of your policies that are attached to your bookings, as well as file claims online, and of course offer that important damage protection program, whether it's just straight damage coverage, or if you wanted to enhance that with something more like dwelling and liability and bed bug. We've got a program that has 4 coverages all built into one. So RentalGuardian is sort of the leader of that InsurTech space. One of the first ones on site with our software, and have been going gangbusters ever since.
Bluetent, we obviously work closely with RentalGuardian, but at our core, we're a long-standing, we've been around for close to 20 years, marketing agency specifically for the vacation rental industry. So Bluetent connects with a handful of property management softwares where we can build direct booking websites, and we have a bunch of options there for our customers. And then we have a really sophisticated team of marketing specialists, and that would include pay-per-click like Google AdWords and Bing. We've got a great email marketing team that does integrate with a bunch of our software platforms to do targeted email, and I'll spend a lot of time today talking about that. We've got a search engine optimization team, so those guys make sure you're ranking well on Google for organic keywords. Then we have different parts of programs for homeowner acquisition campaigns, and that really bleeds into all of our marketing channels where we can focus on owner acquisition. We've got a paid social team as well. And then we've got ResFusion Boost, which is our channel management tool, our OTA distribution tool. So we're really going to focus on email marketing and how to leverage that with ancillary revenue like RentalGuardian sales today. But I'm always here to talk to anybody, and I'll spend some more time about Bluetent a little later in the presentation. Take it away, John.
Well, thanks. And, that's a great segue into what we're going to talk about with regards to travel insurance and the protection that provides, but also making sure that, it's marketed correctly. It's super important to make sure that guests have the ability to choose the program. And that's where experts like Bluetent really provide an extraordinary service. So first and foremost, let's dive in with regards to, upselling travel insurance programs. Believe it or not, there is vast interest in protection programs. In our last stop here in our trade show circuit at Verma, our booth was slammed with folks, property managers, wanting to learn more. And much of what I heard was that, it's a great way. They're looking, well, let me rephrase that. Managers are looking for a way to be able to help and retain homeowners. And when you offer programs like this, there's less awkward conversations around someone's had a tragic incident. Are we going to give them their money back or not? Especially when those cancellation clauses are coming up. And so with that interest in these programs, choosing the right program, number one, is important. But number two, making sure that you're sharing these benefits with your homeowners as a feather in your cap to be able to show that, hey, we are doing everything we can to maintain and keep these bookings in place. And then when something happens, we're able to handle those situations by the programs we've added. Obviously, there's also, a strategic need. As the markets have shifted, managers want to do more with less, basically get more value, more revenue, but spend less. And travel insurance is one of those unique programs. It doesn't cost you anything to get started. There's no cost to you with regards to the program itself. It's completely on the guest to protect themselves, and you should be generating a healthy revenue from that program. So as far as a checkbox, if you're not using a travel insurance program, if you want to just basically uncover a bundle of money for your business, this is a great way for you to be able to do so, but also layer in that valuable protection that's going to allow you to be able to have less awkward conversations with those guests when they call you up and have to have a change of plans and you have to enforce your cancellation clause. So basically I speak from RentalGuardian perspective, but obviously in the industry, there are four main types of programs. First and foremost, there's a standard travel insurance. Now, while all standard travel insurance programs will do what they say they do, and they will have and perform based on a standard list of covered reasons, not all travel insurance programs are built the same. If you were to have a poll of the travel insurance companies in the industry, you would find that there are various amounts of standard covered reasons. What we found is that there's anywhere between about 16 to 26 standard covered reasons in the industry. RentalGuardian happens to have 30, and we did so by building our program based on what we found in the industry and then found some creative reasons on top of that. For instance, if your dog or cat passed away within 7 days prior to arrival, there's coverage for that at 100% reimbursement. Things like that to be able to not say that we're better. We never say that. All standard travel insurance programs perform admirably and will pay out. We just like to say we're a bit more robust. But where we really stand head and shoulders above folks is that we provide a cancel for any reason benefit. And if you're not familiar with that, think of it as a backup benefit or an enhancement to allow for a guest who has a standard policy but has to cancel for a reason not listed in the policy to be able to call you up and just say, hey, we're not coming. And that could be for any one of a number of reasons. In a hurricane market, hey, the hurricane made a left turn or a right turn and is not going to cause a mandatory evacuation, but it's just going to rain all week. Well, that's a frustrating situation. They can't go to the beach. They can't, go fishing. They can't do any of the things they wanted to do. So they might be interested in canceling. Cancel for any reason is a perfect get out of jail free card for them to be able to get their money back while you enforce your cancellation clause. Or another one, let's say their son or daughter made an all-star team, and now instead of coming to you to spend their time on their trip, they have to go to another destination and play volleyball or soccer. And that's another situation. Once again, you're super excited that they have this wonderful opportunity, but when you have to enforce that cancellation clause, it is awkward and can end in a relationship killing result where you've worked long and hard to get those relationships. So offering a program like standard and cancel for any reason is going to give you a significant benefit in the marketplace because you can have more folks protected, which means less conversations that end badly. Also, Canada protection. Now, with regards to Canada protection, other programs in the industry do protect Canada residents. Usually Quebec is excluded. But with regards to Canada protection, make sure you read in the fine print because sometimes a guest must be in the U.S. before they can purchase the program, which avoids them buying it as a Canadian resident, but they're now actually in the U.S. We're blessed with a program that allows for residents of Canada, except Quebec, to be able to purchase Canada protection. So that means that they're coming across the border and going to be buying travel insurance or cancel for any reason, which is a big deal. And then, of course, global protection. Protecting folks that are, in Mexico, the UK or the EU or Italy, Japan, anywhere like that. Having access to a global protection is going to be beneficial as well. RentalGuardian does happen to provide that global protection. You may find others in the marketplace that do as well, but having a well-rounded opportunity to protect more than just US-based residents is critical. And then there's going to be 4 main upsell opportunities that you're going to be able to experience. Primarily, the biggest and brightest is going to be direct bookings via your website. Making sure that travel insurance is featured, and Robyn's going to go into some really good content about this on your website to make sure that it's featured, has the opportunity, but having standard and a cancel for any reason benefit or no thank you as an option, believe it or not, with our A/B testing, showed that when you have standard and cancel for any reason as an option, 20% more increase because there's two choices for yes, one choice for no, versus just yes or no for standard coverage. And then leveraging your outbound communication touch points is going to be critical. You using a property management system, I would bet my last dollar that has also access to outbound emails and touch points that you've already got, making sure that there's a way for folks to be able to, have access to travel insurance is going to be a big win, because now you can point them back to something like the next bullet point, which is an online store. Not all online stores are built the same, meaning many times you just point people to a place where they can buy it online, but there's no tie back to you, which means if you're generating a commission or a referral fee on every single policy that's sold without any sort of affiliate link, you're not going to be able to track those commissions. With RentalGuardian, another selling point for us is we provide you with a branded online store. So now with all that assistance with, your outbound touch points and the stuff that Robyn's going to teach you, you're going to be able to see through that online store more sales. And whether you sell it or whether someone like RentalGuardian, we sell it, you make the same commission, which is going to mean more revenue for you and your bottom line. And then lastly, team. Your team is super important in travel insurance. While we focus a lot on direct bookings via online methods, it's going to be super important for you to make sure that your team is well versed in the program. If they're afraid to talk about it, your travel insurance adoption is going to be very low. We specialize in things like that because there's certain tips and tricks that we can train folks on to be able to leverage the power of the program and simply, like, for instance, take advantage of a free look. All travel insurance will offer a free look period, whether it's 10 days, 15 days, whatever the case. When you have a direct booking, you're speaking to somebody on the phone, being able to simply have your folks be confident enough to tell a story about how travel insurance impacted a booking that saved a guest, or be able to say, oh, by the way, our booking cancellation policy is this, but if you buy travel insurance now, you have 10 or 15 days to consider the program. Let's add it now so you don't forget, and make it just a no-brainer. Assume that they want it, and just a simple little bit of training can assist you in getting your team to be able to feel more comfortable about that transaction. So let's dive in where the biggest, brightest place to be able to offer travel insurance is, and that's going to be on your direct booking page. Now, with regards to the program, if you work with a company like RentalGuardian, you're going to have two programs to be able to offer it. And of course, this program is going to allow for the standard and cancel for any reason to be available, or they can choose no thank you. So when this is integrated in the booking path, you're going to see a lot more adoption rates, because right now, this is where it gets real. When that guest is about to spend $2,500, $5,000, or in some cases $50,000, that's a big deal. And now they're going to depart with that money. And when they do, protecting it at that time is a great way to be able to begin the process. And the opt-in choice or the opt-in choice uplift is going to make sure that you have two policies versus one, which then gives folks a better best scenario, which we found gives as much as a 20% uplift just by our A/B testing that we did. Also, links to learn more. Just a little brief blurb is not going to cut it. Making sure that you have quick and easy links that are available to folks so they can learn more about the program is a great benefit. Some folks want to dive in a little bit deeper, and by you giving them that information in the booking path is going to be helpful. And then, of course, no is really just the beginning of your marketing funnel. And Robyn, if you don't mind, would you dive in a little bit and talk about, just a brief overview of, this type of page and, some of the things that you're going to be talking about here in a few minutes?
Yeah. So, as far as modifications to your checkout page, all of this stuff is really standard. I do totally agree with John that the triple option, we see a lot of benefit from. I mean, the cancel for any reason policy in and of itself is really beneficial to the traveler. But when they do check no, I'm going to talk through a bunch of different ways to have touch points there, other ways to get guests into your life cycle stay and sort of teach them the benefits of adding travel insurance, because they do still have that looking time to shop for it. And then other ways to add it to your website so that you can kind of show people more information. But again, I look at it as a huge value proposition to your guests and owners. And I don't think we've historically done a great job about talking about travel insurance and what kind of benefit that is, not just for our guests, but for our owner relationship. So later on, I'll talk a little bit about different email automations that we can set up and things like that. But I'm always open to anybody that wants to talk through their website checkout flow and see how we could improve their uptake on travel insurance sales.
Love that. That's so cool. And as we said, no, it's just the beginning. Robyn just covered pretty much all these bullet points. This is amazing. The email triggers, a lot of times in your software, if somebody chooses no for travel insurance, that's a trigger. And, an automated email that is well crafted that goes out and says, thank you so much for your booking, but gosh, you forgot to protect your trip and you're coming during hurricane season. We highly recommend you protect your trip. If you're interested, click here to learn more. Something as simple as that can drive massive more percentage for adoption. The templates that you use is obviously super important as well. You don't want to use scare tactics, but if you're in a hurricane market, if you're in a snow destination where snow can be too much, too little, or even if you're in out west and you have history with wildfires and things of that nature that can cause not necessarily evacuations, but smoke related issues, things that like that, massive opportunity to sell cancel for any reason. People are like, oh, you know what? I heard there's a fire. What's the air like? And it's like, well, it's a little cloudy and it smells like smoke. They might not want to go. They can use cancel for any reason and still get 60% reimbursement. And also, Robyn's going to dive into setting an automation schedule. There are some critical times right after a booking when somebody says no, within the first 7 days when somebody says no, thank you, and then possibly, maybe 45 days or so prior to a trip to remind, or with requests for payments that you send out is always good. And then targeting the messaging, Robyn's going to talk about that a little bit more too, but using well-crafted language, short and sweet. Believe it or not, folks are not going to read your entire paragraph upon paragraph email message. It has to be short and sweet. And you can do that with some, really good content to be able to point people in the right direction. Also with the online store, like we provide yourcompany.rentalguardian.com, you can add it to existing touch points like booking confirmations, payment reminders, any sort of area info you send out, or even a welcome packet where they can still purchase travel protection. It's a great way for you to always just, repetition is the mother of learning. And so with those repeated touch points, at some point, they're going to be like, maybe I do want to protect that trip. And that's going to be the one time that you're going to get them at the right time in the right spot. They can click that link and buy it very easily. So here we're talking about, your website, and this is Robyn's domain. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but what I am going to say is that main navigation, here, I'll ask you a question.
Yeah.
Main navigation is obviously way better than a drop-down menu where it's buried. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you have the real estate in your main navigation to add travel insurance, that's certainly optimal. There's a couple, considering putting it in the footer, which is where I think repeat users tend to go to look for pertinent information like contact our reservations team or get travel insurance. So the footer is also a good place. In the drop-down menu that's really where your first-time shoppers are probably looking for information. And so if you can put it in the main navigation, I do think you'll see a tremendous adoption rate.
And also, but don't overlook, if you don't have the real estate, like Robyn said, please put it in a drop-down because it makes it super simple for you and your team to be able to say, hey, when they say, you know what, I didn't take the program, but I changed my mind. I'd like to get travel protection. How do I get it? You can just say, hey, go to our website in the guest services area, hit the drop down and click travel insurance link, and it'll take you to your online store. Now you've done the right thing. You haven't created more work for them. Click, and they're in front of the program, able to purchase it online.
Yeah, or even you could even do something cool like a FAQ page, like staying with us, or, have you booked with us? And then you could sort of like a frequently asked questions. Hey, I want to protect my trip. Why should I buy travel insurance? And that's also really good content for search engine optimization. So the more you can build out content around that is great.
That's a great point. Thank you. I fully believe in that too, because the more content you can deliver, the better, story you're going to tell to those search engines, and they're going to see you as an influencer in that space. Now, here's the online store, right? And this is something we provide. Other companies do provide things similar to this. Some people point you to a PDF. That is the absolute worst way for you to have to try and get somebody to review a program. Then they have to basically pick up a phone, and you've taken them out of that safety and security of an online shopping situation and transformed it into, now they're going to actually make a phone call, and let's hope that the hold times aren't long, stuff like that. So having an online store that's an affiliate link with yourcompany.rentalguardian.com is going to be key. They can easily purchase the program 24/7. With our program, they can even manage the coverage. They can add additional coverage or add travelers. They can download and see all the information and do a deep dive. They can even see a sample policy and dive in. So if somebody says, you know, I was interested in the program, but I want to read the coverage, no problem. Click travel insurance link, go to our online store, and you can get a copy of that policy and read all 57 glorious pages of that policy verbatim if they want to. And of course, they can also review the claims process, which is key. Team training, like we talked about, I don't want to run long on this, but getting your team comfortable, giving them access to the tools and information as far as little cheat codes that they can use to point people in the right direction is really all that's asked. Also, create internal messaging for your own solutions to be able to point people in the right direction is key. And then of course, knowing the basic questions to answer, but also knowing where to point folks when those questions go deeper, like, well, what about pre-existing conditions or things of that nature? Don't go there. Simply give them the information that's provided to you to be able to point them to a phone number, or online information is a great way to do that. And never forget to be able to maximize that free look period, because it's going to be a great way to use an assumptive close with the folks that are purchasing travel insurance. Now, here's a little ditty that you might not know about, and it's only integrated within Habit branded software, but it's called Project Second Look. And what it is basically an automated way for this little program to go out there and find folks that haven't purchased travel insurance that are still able to, and send them automated messaging. Now, the key to this, however, is that because 75% of the folks may not buy travel insurance, you want to utilize your tools and the things that you have access to be able to hit those first pass, second pass messages, because you're going to make the full referral fees for the program. Project Second Look, if you're on Streamline, VRM, LiveRes, LNPM, coming soon, you're going to be able to have this automated program go out and find these folks, and you'll make a smaller commission, but it's still something that you wouldn't have had because you've already taken those first passes that Robyn's going to walk you through in a little bit. It's also a great way for, if you don't use RentalGuardian, you can actually activate this with one of, if you're on those softwares, to be able to implement this program and offer our programs to those folks in an automated fashion. And the critical thing here is this little ditty right here. This program has this, how many days left you have to purchase the program. It's an instant reminder, hey, you're running out of time, so if you're interested, please be sure to click here to learn more. And it's got your logo, it's got the content information, and it's a great, easy way for them to buy it online in the comfort of their own home or on their phone. Robyn, with that, I'm going to allow you to dive into all the goodness that you're about to bring.
Yeah, so I love that last slide a little bit, just talking about OTAs, because I do think that's where a lot of marketing strategy comes in for us right now, which is really looking at OTAs as feeder markets or marketing channels rather. And so I think a great quick way with Project Second Look is those OTA bookings coming in, and that's kind of your first pass at getting in front of them with your brand directly. So that just sort of leads me to a question that we talk about a lot on the marketing side of the house, which is, are you looking at a comprehensive marketing strategy, and what's that cadence look like? And when was the last time you did a marketing strategy check-in? I just kind of like to know from the group. And when Tasha, I don't have to answer these right now. We can kind of keep moving forward and leave anything to the Q&A at the end. So really, January, we're deep into January at this point. February is 5 minutes away, but this is really where we like to do a mini audit, and that's looking at our Google Analytics, all your tracking, and looking at all your marketing channels. So we want to assess, do you actually have a marketing strategy, and what does that look like? Have you adjusted it as the industry has evolved? That's meaning, like I said, our traveler profile has absolutely changed, and I see some significant pivots that people need to make with the way we communicate to guests. And again, the way we communicate to our OTA guests should really be a little bit different than we talk to our repeat guests and our first-time direct booking guests. Those are kind of like the three buckets of profiles that we have. And you could even get even more granular about what that booking window looks like and how do I talk to those guests. So you've got your first-time booking that are coming in. Maybe they're booking 3 months out, but then you've got this whole new group of folks that are booking 2 to 3 weeks out. And that's really new for us in a lot of markets, some markets not so much. But I think we really want to consider talking to those people a little bit differently, because whether it's an OTA booking or a short booking window, those are customers or guests rather that we definitely want to make sure we're giving our value proposition to. And travel insurance is another new way. Content is king for SEO, so we definitely want to make sure that's fresh and current. There's a lot of opportunities there, whether it's staying with us page with FAQs on travel insurance and what to expect with their experience staying with you, or homeowner acquisition pages, things like that. There's a lot of opportunities for new content. And then new competitors, we all know that they're everywhere. So we want to kind of look at those strategies and see how we can differ, how we can design different, again, language around our brand to build more trust. So we're always happy to do those audits with you, but if you're not doing them today, I think those are some key points to ask your team. And marketing emails. So this is the second poll question. I think that'll pop up here in a second. Are you currently sending marketing emails? And I'll spend more time in regards to travel insurance. It's more of an automation that I want you to set up. So that's kind of a set it and forget it scenario. Ideally, you do have an email marketing situation where you can pull all your reservations either through an integration or manually. You can pull all your reservations out of your software and put them into a list, right? And so, John, you can move to the next slide here. And with that list, or with best practices email marketing, we want to kind of check a few boxes before we send anything out the door. The first thing that I think is people don't realize is the importance of email authentication. So that happens at the domain name level. And that basically means that you're sending an email on behalf of yourself, not on behalf of MailChimp.robynscott.com. It's a really important thing that there are a lot of regulations and rules about it now. And it's not that hard to do. You can really Google it, but it has to really do with your what's called a DKIM record. And that authenticates so that you're sending on behalf of yourself, not through another software platform. And then marketing calendars, sometimes this feels really overwhelming because email is one of our highest ROI marketing tools. But really, I would encourage a quarterly meeting to look at what your general marketing emails look like, what your segmented marketing emails look like, and then what your automations look like, and just make sure that you're refreshing that. And then in the case of ancillary revenue or travel insurance sales, that's really where we want to just make sure we have clear language, because I see the mark missed quite a bit. It's really that thank you for your reservation and a pre-arrival email. Those are your two opportunities to get some upsells, and that's net new revenue for you guys. It's not commissionable. So that's where I think it's really important we pay attention to it. It's not major money, but it pays for your marketing services if you're doing a good job on it. So it's easy to do that. And then cleaning up your marketing list regularly. We don't want you sending to people that aren't engaged. It's costing you money and time. There's different methods to re-engage those lists as well. And so we're happy to kind of consult on what that cadence looks like. But if you've got bad emails or people aren't opening up, move those people to a different pod, because typically you are paying per email address that you're sending out to. Being concise is next level, because we want to share 1 million properties and we want to talk about 1 million events or things like that. We get way too languagey, and it turns out when people are looking on their phones, which about 80–90% of your list is initially looking at that email on your phone, it looks too long, too boring, too lame. So making it concise, having a value proposition and a call to action, either in the subject line or right at the top of the email. And then typos are real bad. So make sure to have a couple set of eyes on any email you send out before it goes. So proofing is very important. And then, are you leveraging email automation? So this is where it comes into building out that automation that you want. So an automation in this case would be a pre-arrival automation, or a thank you for your reservation, and a pre-arrival. Those are your two opportunities to get kind of net new revenue. And I'm just curious how many people are doing it, because it feels overwhelming to get set up, but once you get it done, you'll be very happy that you have. All of any automation bleeds into what we call the guest lifecycle stay, and that's how we build trust with the guest. We give them the information that they need. Another life cycle that doesn't really have to do with travel insurance, but it's an automation that does drive a lot of revenue if you don't have it, is booking abandonment. That's essentially if the guest goes to the Book Now page and they don't successfully complete the reservation, they get an automated email within 10 to 24 hours that says, hey, Robyn, you did not book John's house and it's still available, or hey, Robyn, John's house is no longer available. Here's some other properties that might fit the bill. And then thank you for your reservation. Didn't make this list, but it should be on there. And then a pre-arrival, which is, 30 days in advance so that the guest sort of knows what to expect. And then an even closer pre-arrival, probably 3 days with the imperative information about their reservation, their CABA codes, where to do laundry, things like that. And then if you really want to take it to the next level, automations that we're seeing a lot of revenue driven off of are booking anniversary emails. And again, you've imported reservations on a weekly basis into your CRM or your email marketing platform. And in that data is the guest's booking date and their check-in and check-out date. So we see those fields, we see those attributes in that list. So that way you can set up a booking anniversary that's just a triggered email that goes out. So when it hits whatever, January 28th, if I booked a home today in 2026, I would get, hey, Robyn, you booked John's house on this day. And we're seeing a lot of success with those. Similar homes is also easy because there's data within that reservation that lets us know what home the guest booked. So we can offer up a similar inventory for their next stay, which we're seeing a lot of success. Is really important to be talking to our guests accurately. So if I have stayed in a condo with you and I've booked a condo with you for 4 years and you're sending me a 10-bedroom oceanfront, that means to me that you're not paying attention to who I am as a customer of yours. So that's leveraging automation to make sure we're being accurate with how we're talking to our guests should relieve a lot of burden. Off-season stays and long-term stays, those are great automations to set up, especially because we can pull in unit data as well with reservation integration. So we're able to see what units have most availability and offer those up, or ones that are accepting long-term stays. And then gap night notification is great because the guest could extend their stay. That's a nice thing to know if I'm checking in, on a Friday, Saturday, and I'm supposed to check out Sunday, but I just realized Monday is a holiday, or I want to take the day off. If I could extend my stay there, that is really, really great. That also kind of works for early check-ins. We're seeing a lot of good revenue from charging for early check-ins and late checkouts. And then cancellation notification is pretty cool. We could also call it like a wait list. And this happens a lot in real established markets where guests will go to their favorite home and it's not available. If anybody cancels, they'll be on the wait list. They'll get a notification email that says, hey, you can go ahead and book this now. And that's sort of a no-brainer. We're seeing a lot of transactional, meaning email-driven revenue from that one. And then optimizing those emails. Mobile is by far the most important. If you're looking in your analytics dashboard and kind of digesting your unit data, you'll really, really see that the trajectory of mobile bookings and mobile opens on email, mobile direct bookings on your website, driven by opening emails on mobile phones, has just obviously skyrocketed. So you want to, when you're proofing your email, you want to make sure everything's responsive. You want to make sure that call to action is still towards the top, that it's scannable with maybe specials, maybe events. If it's that thank you for your reservation email, it's did you add travel insurance? And there's some softwares that just know whether or not the guest is. So in that list export, you'll also get the data of whether or not they have travel insurance. So you can upsell it there and really make things shorter and readable. Make sure it's optimized for dark mode. A lot of people use dark mode on their phones. So if you're using particular imagery, et cetera, it just gets washed out. So that's just a little tip. We've seen a lot of kind of ugly emails flow through because with phones in dark mode because they weren't selecting the right emails. So John, you want to talk us through this a little bit as far as, I booked my trip and then, well, I can kind of talk through this and then you'll receive an automated email from either the software or like a Bluetent reservation integration platform. And that basically tells that guest, hey, you still have the opportunity to protect your trip. And I would recommend just bullet points there, or maybe even a testimonial that says, hey, I'm so glad I got travel insurance and here's why. It should not be a novel about RentalGuardian or travel insurance or anything like that. But we're just not doing it that well. And it really, I've heard a lot of success stories about, selling RentalGuardian or selling travel insurance rather, basically pays for my whole marketing budget. And so again, it's non-commissionable revenue. We got to get better about talking about it. And then you can send another reminder. So if they continue to not have purchased it, I do think that 45 days prior to the start, their check-in date, and that usually does, like it says here, align with that balance due email. That's again an automation. And then you can continue to do anything else with kind of the different RentalGuardian integrations. I do think making sure it's available on your website. Guests really do come back, and let's say I booked a property, I come back and I might start reading blogs about events in the area or what beaches to take my dogs to. And making sure you have travel insurance value proposition somewhere on there, those guests should be able to see it.
Yeah, I mean, this timeline is really critical. And, it's having the tools available to you to make use of a timeline like this, right? With RentalGuardian, you do get the advantages of the online store, which is basically your own online marketplace to be able to market travel insurance 24/7 and taking advantage of all of these touch point opportunities where you're not in their face, but hitting them at the different times. I'll be honest with you. In June, took my family to Kauai for a trip, and there was 8 of us because we included boyfriends and girlfriends. And, and in that, we were a party of 8, and that was an expensive trip. I'm not going to lie. Well worth it, had a great time. But when I made a booking and I was going to go and buy my own travel insurance, I paused because I just came out of pocket and I had a little bit of buyer's remorse. And so what I then, of course, quickly sobered up and bought my program, because having put that money out there, I realize now, holy cow, anything happens, I'm on the hook. And then my flights, holy cow. So all of that went onto this program. But even me, 10 years selling travel insurance to the industry, paused because I just came out of pocket. And that's the key, is that when you hit them at the different times, once that buyer's remorse and my credit card was touchable again because it wasn't so hot, it was a no-brainer. I had to go buy it because it was too much at risk for me to lose that amount of money just because, heaven forbid, somebody had a health concern, or even the for any reason benefit where we just couldn't go for some reason. So having this timeline and taking advantage of those tools is great. And that online store makes all the difference because it's your logo. You can theme it with your splash image. So if you're in a snow destination, you can put skiers on the mountain. You can put one of your homes up there. It's really cool. And they see the brand, they know it's yours, but yet you're selling a very reputable, state-of-the-art product that will protect when it needs to be protected. And so, I guess with that, I am going to flip the next slide and open it up for Q&A. So I
I
guess.
think the only last thing I wanted to add there is like
Go for it.
Peace of mind language. I was thinking about this earlier, post-COVID, airlines are letting us be super flexible, right? But they're not talking about it. They're not saying, hey, you can, move your trip. Whereas years ago, it was a fee or things like that. And so I think educating our travelers that like this is a true peace of mind that you want to add, because we can't be that flexible. This is somebody's home, like saying it in a nice way, but like booking a vacation rental is not like, it's not that flexible. We can't just sort of move you 3 days because you think it might rain. Like you could change a plane ticket. And so that peace of mind to say, hey, I could move, I can have canceled for any reason. So I can be flexible with this trip in some ways. I think that goes a long way.
That's a great point.
We are open for questions. I see a few familiar people, but I don't anticipate many questions. But either way, I appreciate everyone coming today. We always have a great time rapping together, John and I. We do have some of our Rise and Shine breakfast seminars. We're going around the country to different markets. We've got a half day, free breakfast, great networking, a great team that's on the road. We're talking about everything from marketing, software, travel insurance, payment processing, OTAs. We spend a lot of time talking about advocacy in your area. We've got some great data to share for each particular market. So spread the word. It's kind of all over Instagram. You can reach out to John or myself if you're interested. Oh, John, here's a good question actually that I think you've talked about at the Rise and Shines, but I'd love for you to spend a couple minutes. You
Sure.
talked about training staff to better upsell customers. Can you share a little bit about what Rental Guardian does to kind of help support training your staff?
Yeah, that's a big part of a successful program, right? Because somebody will see the information and then they'll think about it and then they'll call because they're familiar with calling. A lot of repeat guests will call. There's a relationship that's been built. And so your agents or folks that are answering the phones need to be comfortable with talking about the programs. And basically, it's just spending the time from a trainer to an agent of the company to help them and answer their questions so they feel comfortable and know and can navigate those conversations. It's super simple because we, as Rental Guardian, we spend a lot of time training. I was just in Myrtle Beach and did a big training there. And it was a lot of the questions that came up were some of the issues that basically happened in their daily, day-to-day communications with guests. And so for us to be there and or spend time online in a live environment, kind of like this webinar, to be able to answer those questions and help them feel comfortable means that now they don't have that hesitation anymore. Having the information easily at hand to be able to point to a telephone number when a question goes, deeper than they should answer. Because a lot of the time we train you not only what to say, but what not to say. And in that, it's like, look, you're just going to provide good customer service to folks that have those questions that are deeper. You give them an 800 number, they go and call, and then you say, go get your question answered. And then when you come back, go to our website and click travel insurance and you can buy it online. Super simple. And you've just done the guest a great favor because you've given them good customer service. So having those tools available, but also making sure that they're comfortable with a scenario that, because a lot of people say, well, I'm not a salesperson. Well, if you ever tried to get your mom when you were 2 to give you a cookie, guess what? You're a salesperson. And so you've been selling all your life, try to talk your way out of a ticket, whatever the case might be. Everybody is a salesperson. So don't think of it as a sales related item. Think of it as helping them in customer service fashion to be able to understand the program a little bit better and to be able to make a choice for them. And there's those tools that are available like the free look to make it an assumptive close. Why wouldn't somebody want to protect their trip, right? So don't think of it as, oh no, we're going to, be adding more money. It's like, why wouldn't you want to protect your trip? You just invested in this vacation. And that's the key, right? And it's just having those conversations. So at Rental Guardian, we make it our mission to make sure that your teams are trained well. And sometimes we have to do multiple trainings. Means, you're hot and heavy in the season and you're talking about travel insurance, and then you go kind of into the off season and you don't use your tools and your verbiage as much, and then come around when it's time to start ramping up bookings, guess what? You lose it, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. And so having those scheduled as a value add for you and your agents is what we pride ourselves on. And that's where our account management team comes in. I do trainings as well. We all pitch in to be able to make sure that your teams are trained. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of back and forth to answer those questions, make that agent feel comfortable, and give them the tools that they need to point people in the right direction.